Hello and welcome to Denzalist Gaming. This episode is going to be a short conversation of my experience in Overwatch 2, or brackets Overwatch 2, and talking about how there's so much flack with this game, how it sort of doesn't feel like it needed a sequel, and it just feels like a patch update, and also massive balancing issues and things like that. So just a bit of a background with where I'm coming from. I did play a lot of the original Overwatch. At first it was really fun, new characters, the balancing was pretty decent, and then they started getting more of a focus on things like esports and making things look good instead of actually making the cool gameplay fun. And really this Overwatch 2 is doubled down on it. There's certain things I like about it. So the way they've done it with the 5v5, the games are a lot more fast and frenetic, which is a good thing. But then the problem is the same as the first one, which I think even amplifies it a bit more. Unless you've got a guaranteed 5-star who you play constantly with, this game is going to be very laborious for you, because the fact that they've took a tank out to your comp system, and basically you've got one tank, 2 damage dealers and 2 healers, and that change has like thrown everything out the window, because it's like now the if you want to pick tank in comp, it's going to take actually on sometimes I've seen on the match queue about 2 minutes longer than damage, and damage is notoriously the longest one, because usually you get people who just queue for ages and they only play damage and that's all they want to do. So when you've got an entire class being sidelined to only one, that also changes the how what players are picked and how they're played on certain maps. So on my experience with the comp, 9 times out of 10, like I says, it's usually I'd say 5 to 6, but the strongest ones you get are going to be everyone's picking a Risa and Junker Queen. I'd say they're like the S tier. I'd say on your A tier is going to be Ryan and Zarya, and I'd say B tier is Rodolph Diva. I've very rarely seen a Sigma or like Winston, but because that's the thing. It's like Wrecking Ball. Wrecking Ball was a really great second tank, because it could take characters off the point and move them in a certain direction. Ult was very effective. But the thing is now, because that's a solo tank, it's they can't just scoot far ahead, because it leaves the team weak, and that's the problem at the moment. So you've got some characters which in 6v6 was effective, but in this current setup, like I said, I've hardly seen Wrecking Ball being used, and same thing with Winston. Sometimes with the shield, but the shield's like paper, so that doesn't really even have that effect. But yeah, I'd say they're like the lower Sigma, Winston and Wrecking Ball are sort of like the lower used ones. And the problem is as well, because you've only got one tank now, you're more reliant on your support, and that's the only problem. Anybody who's played support in Overwatch 1 knows it was a flipping arduous task with no flipping very rare acknowledgement anyway, because it wasn't the fact that they never did any damage, even though they've queued like 8-10 minutes as a damage dealer, but then they just spam and sort of blame you for everything, and this has really amplified it. I mean, I will admit, like I said, one of my most used characters is Moira, because I do mostly play support, but in this version I've been playing Mercy, because most people have been picking Moira, but they're not using her as a healer, they're using her as a damage dealer, and it's alright. But when I'm like playing like Mercy, and I'm like the most squishiest support character, I'm getting like nothing from them. So basically, because they're not actually focusing on the damage, then the Mercies are getting targeted, and that's the problem. And like I said, and as a former, still Moira main, I see it so many times where I look at like the figures, and it's like I've done like 8,000-9,000 there's Mercy, and they've done like barely 2, and you're like but then they've got like 4,000 damage, and it's like that's with one tank taken out, that's a problem. And usually we're in the losing side when that happens, because your damage dealers and your tank aren't getting that level of support they need. It's like, yeah, you might be helping finishing off certain enemies, but the damage, probably we're going to do that anyway. So yeah, it's like I said, and this is just the way the game's set up, and I'm not even got to things like the microtransactions yet. And the thing with this game is like, I think I've just read a recent report saying that they've had like 20 million sort of downloads and stuff like that, which is like, yeah, that's impressive. But the thing is, I mean, you look at games like PUBG and stuff like that, it's like, unless you have a great consistent product, and that people want to play your game modes again and again and again, you're not going to keep that 20 million. And to be fair, I bet a good sort of 40%, probably being a bit generous, maybe more, probably played a couple of games and said, yeah, that's me done. Because there's very little difference in the first one, but what they have changed seems to have made the meta and how things are set up a lot worse, because like I said, you just see the same tanks now, and because you've only got one pick of them now, it's like you're more reliant on having a strong damage dealer. But then when they pick somebody who's not compatible for that map, or say like if they're a Widowmaker on like a attack or something like that, and they can't get any decent positions and they're very obvious, or like even Hanzo, I've seen Hanzo's and like Cassidy's as well, where it's like their ults are so obvious, and it's like, and spend all the time, like see Cassidy's, I've seen them so many times sort of keeping hold of their ults for that perfect moment, and then several minutes in, when they could have used it ages and ages ago, they they try it and they absolutely mess it up and just wasted all that time. And I see that all the time really, and it's like, yeah, and the fact that some of the nicest times we've had at the moment, where there's been no like Bastion, because he's just terrible. But yeah, so and like I said, and already like within the first like few weeks and that, there's massive like balance issues. The fact that they've had to remove characters off it because certain aspects are broken, and it's like, and this has took like 4 years. They've not put any updated content on the original game. So basically, I'm judging this. It doesn't really matter what the first one did, because literally, apart from your skins, everything they did in that first one is basically wiped clean. So they call this Overwatch 2. So I'm going to review this and look at this as a brand new game. I'm not looking at the many hours I've played it before, because this is the reason why they, and these are the truths. It's the reason why they changed this to a free-to-play model is because when they had the beta and basically they were going to charge 50-60 quid for this, and and everyone was like, well, it's just a patch update, and like I said, there's one game mode which is decent, and you can get some good competitive matches, but it's one game mode, and like it says, and I've only played probably about, because you don't see it all the time in comp, but yeah, I probably played about 6 or 7, and it's just another game mode. It's the same as push the payload, and it's like, so what makes that interesting? And yes, some of the battles can be very tactical and stuff like that. That's fine, but like you're not going to keep your players just because you release one game mode, and like it says, I played enough, and it's just another game mode. It's not it's not like something to be massively excited about and say like, wow, this is a game changer, like the first one was. It's just another game mode, and to be fair, it's like all the other maps. There's some interesting ones, the new ones, but I wouldn't say anything's like blown me away to a level like, oh, I've got to play that map again. That was just such an exciting map. It's just they're just more than the same, and that's the thing, and it's like this sort of free to play model, which they've sort of it feels like they've just like rushed it into market, is just, like I said, they're just gonna go after the whales, and like I said, the microtransactions aren't worth it for the coins and stuff like that they charge now, and the battle pass, I mean, as well as locking new characters behind battle passes as well, even if you ignored all that, it's like, sometimes battle passes, I understand with the free to play model of how they've done, but with the way they're doing the microtransactions, the way they're doing the battle pass, like I said, it just feels so slapdash, basically. It doesn't feel like that this was the original idea, because it obviously wasn't. And yeah, I know that the loot box system was crap and broken and things like that, but in all honesty, even with the loot box system, I've never, in the years I've played this game, I've never paid for a costume, and that's the reason why they've done it, because they wanted to try and get people who's played a lot but won't give them money to say that, well, if you like this character, you've got to pay £10 to buy this skin now. And I do understand that, but the thing is, it's like, what are you doing to keep people playing this day in, day out? Yeah, you've got challenges, but the rewards are that puny. There's nothing keeping people. And at first I thought the UI was interesting, but they've took so much out of it that it's lost any form of charm. Like, it's like if you go into sort of settings on comp and you go into your role queue, it's like it's hard to find out what your actual rank is, because it's like I know I'm silver something, but unless I win 7 matches, it was simple with a number system, and then you knew where you got up to. So, but the thing with this, it's like put in rounds, so you don't know what your score is, or if you're going to stay in your rank or move up or down. Well, hopefully, if you win, 7 games within like 15 or something like that, then you more likely will get up. But it's like, because you don't know what's happening. I mean, the placement matches in Overwatch 1 was bad enough, but with this, it's like, why do you keep on playing it? Because I don't know, how much more wins I need to do to rank, if I'm going to rank decently, or am I going to jump up a couple of levels, or does the game just think I'm just going to be silver and deserve to stay silver, and it's like, and because you're so reliant on randos and teammates actually playing as a team, that it's exactly the same as the first one, that it's and it's even worse because it's like there's no sort of like celebration of when you sort of like do well. It's like there's no like on fire systems now, because they're making it more sort of like Overwatch League, so it looks good on that, not actually looks good to play, and that's the issue. That's the main thing. I mean, there's nothing for former people who have given their money, and I know a lot of my friends who bought a lot of like loot boxes and things like that. There's nothing keeping any of them to carry on playing this or investing money into it, because it's like, it's just Overwatch patch 1. I won't even say it's 1.5, I say it's like 1.3, because it's like you've still got major balance issues. We haven't even got to the main thing for Overwatch 2, which was the main thing which was going to change it all, was the single player story, which should have been in Overwatch 1, but they put it down to 2, and it's going to be interesting to see if they're going to charge an extra DLC for that. So if they do, then they'll be charged for DLC packs, they'll be charging for a battle pass, they'll be charging for cosmetics, as well as every other transactions, emotes and everything else, and I mean, it's like 500 coins for an emote, and and like I said, 1,000 is like about £8-9 basically. So I think this is a perfect example. I'm just looking into the shop, and to say there's a skin for Winston, and like I said, he's hardly being used now, but there's a legendary skin, because now they've created legendary and epics now. Mythics, sorry. And just imagine, like I said, this isn't the tippity top. This is a legendary, so it's not even a mythic skin. But this is 1,900 coins for a werewolf Winston skin, and it's fine, but I wouldn't say it's like groundbreaking, because I'm sure they've done similar sort of things before. But if I was going to buy that, like I said, I would have to pay, because it's $8.39 for 1,000, and the next one up for 2,200 is £16.79. So I would have to pay basically nearly £17 for one skin. Just imagine that, you know. I've been playing quite a lot of comp games and things like that. I've not been doing the dailies, but all I've got is 60 gold. So, and I've played, you know, for, you know, a fair few hours. So you just think that if I wanted to try and earn that skin whilst it was in rotation to get to 1900, I'd have to go through all your dailies and literally play game modes I probably wouldn't want to play, just to get the coins and the you know, to get anywhere near that much. But yeah, 1900, so basically £18. And you know, and people, I've had people like disagreeing with me. It's like, oh, this is had to be the case, and it's like, no, because, you know, this was going to be a £50, you know, game for sale, which I know would still, there's a lot of games which still charge full price and still have egregious microtransactions. But, you know, like it says, I'd rather have a system like that than play a game where literally every time you want a costume or you want to buy something, it's going to be shipping you £17. I mean, that is unbelievable. And like I said, that's not even the highest rated. I mean, like I said, there's a legendary Wrecking Ball skin bundle with emotes and other things. Oh no, not even emote, an icon, and icons which can already be owned. So literally, you'd be paying for a skin, and I'm sure that Jack-o'-lantern's an old skin. So this is like, I think, Overwatch 1 skin. So literally you'd be paying 1,800 coins, and like I said, and the fact that they wouldn't let any coins carry over, so literally, even if you play that character but you didn't manage to pick up that skin when you played Overwatch 1, you'd have to pay, like I said, if you've got no coins, and that's 1,800, you would have, like it says, you would have to spend virtually nearly £17. And like I said, and even if you wanted a new character, like Sojourn, is it Sojourn? I don't know. The Cyber Detective bundle, you get a weapon charm, which you will never see because it's a third-person game. You get a voice live, which originally I think you could get for about, 300 gold, and a player icon, which I think was about the same. But like you said, because I unlocked quite a lot of, opened a lot of loot boxes, which never cost me a lot. I had so much coins that I could buy whatever skins I wanted. I weren't, sometimes there might not be anything one event, but then the next event there might be 2 or 3 skins, and 9 times out of 10 I would have enough coins to buy those skins, but they don't want that. But just imagine, like I said, 2,200 for a new character skin. Like I said, that is just unbelievable. And like I said, that is literally all £17 worth of coins in that one bundle. And like I says, like I said, I've not got an issue against this free-to-play model, but it's like when you've literally changed from the first game to this free-to-play model, purely just to milk and like I said, and a lot of the skins are bland as well. I mean, if people, you know, even if you were a Sojourn player, you know, some of these skins like this Troop Commander, I'm sure it's just like a reskin of like a Tracer skin, because it's like, you know, apart from like the body height, you know, she's taller and stuff like that, and there's a few extra like decals and you know, it's like, yeah, there's even like, you know, a central you know, mark similar, well, like I said, Tracer's is a circle, but still, you look at like that Troop Commander and you look at like a Tracer skin, and it's like, yeah, they've just like made a few little changes and then that's it, and they want to charge basically what equates to about £15 worth of coins for that bundle, and that's an offer. That's 30% off. So if you're thinking normally that supposedly would be, let's see from here, because we've got 2,900. So if you were to buy that, you know, and not on this great amazing offer, that would be 2,900. So that would cost you, like I said, you would have to buy the 2,200 bundle for £17 basically, and the 1,000 bundle for £8.40 basically. Yes, £6.80, £8.40. So we're talking £25 if you don't buy this within whatever time they say that this offer's going to go off, which they don't state. So basically they're doing this sort of like forced you know, new hero launch offer. So it's like, so I assume that'll be there until, you know, like a couple of months where a new character gets released. You hope so, but literally you're doing this sort of like forced limited thing, because it's like, if you like that skin, you're never ever going to earn, even if you play, you know, hundreds of hours, you're probably not going to earn 2,000, and if you do, it'll probably go up to about, by the time you unlock it, the cost will be about 2,900. So literally they're making it, you know, not impossible but very implausible that you will reach that amount of coins before you know, before this offer ends. So it's making, well, it's literally forcing you, if you like that character, you want that skin at that price, which probably in 6 months they'll probably knock down even more because nobody's buying it. They you know, you've got to buy that now, and this is the, I mean, I know that it's not been perfect system from the beginning, but this is, you know, Activision's fingers. I mean, like I said, there's no such thing as Blizzard now. This is you know, Activision's game. Like I said, all the creative leads and made Overwatch 1 fun. Like I said, it's been turned into this esports machine, this sort of like, you know, everything, you know, even if you watch the Overwatch League, now they've got their own currency for, well, they had it in the first one, but they've got their own currency for the Overwatch League skins, and there's like a really cool Mercy skin. But if you were to buy that, like it says, that Mercy skin is 300 league points, and this is even worse. So yeah, they don't do 300 league points. You'd have to buy a 200 and a 100, which is £10.59 and £5.29. So you talk about, say, £16 for a skin. And like it says, and this is, you know, another currency they've created. So even if the character you like, you know, even if you earned enough coins what about if it comes into this Overwatch League, skin bundle? So you could have like the Mercy one could be the best skin in the game is in a different currency now, so you can't even earn that in game. You might be able to earn it, I don't know, watching things on Twitch, I don't know, but then they'd be trying to force you to watch Overwatch League. But I don't even think they do that now. I don't think they even offer coins for watching that anymore. I know they used to. You'd have to quote on. Don't quote me on that because I've never had any interest watching Overwatch League. It's bad enough playing the damn thing, let alone watch other people play it. So it's just such an egregious system, and it's and I don't know. This is the future of gaming, guys. According to these companies like Activision, single player games, and doesn't matter to repetitive whales who will just put money, and that's the thing. There's people literally pay thousands of pounds for one game, and to get like things which have no value. It's like it's not like some like PC games where you've got in-game economy, so you can actually sell things like on selling sites and things like that for actual real value. It's like these are just a skin. There's no like rarity, because literally anybody who's stupid enough to give them money can buy it. So it's not even anything you can unlock as this rare legendary skin or this weapon or something like that, like you get in RPGs or things like Team Fortress and stuff like that. Even though I don't think their systems are any good and has more problems than anything, at least there's some perceived value in some of their products. There's no value in this, and like I said, this is the first person game, so unless you're in the waiting area for your game to start and you can do a little dance and emote, like if you're in a comp game, unless like other team leaves, you're not going to be able to like do a little dance or look at yourself, because that's the only time you could look at yourself, when you're doing a dance, doing an emote and stuff like that, or and that's it. So it's like all these like weapons, charms, things like that, it don't work for a game like this, because if it was over a shoulder or third person game, then that would be understandable. But yeah, so anyway, I think I've talked enough about this game. But yeah, like I said, the only thing that's going to keep this game alive is going to be the whales, and this is what they want. They want enough eyes on the Overwatch League to try and make that look exciting. So that's why this is faster pace, and they've took a tank out of it, not because of game balance, because the game's still broken because literally they've took characters out of the game already, because they're literally either designed broken, or they just basically completely break the balance of the game, and there's still characters who still do that. But still, and it's like it's causing more grief, and there's more. I mean, to be fair, this game community sometimes can be very toxic. Well, I'd say can be, mostly is, and it's like, and now you've took out a tank. You're basically making more reliant on your support. So if somebody doesn't show up, or if your tank does what a lot of the tanks I've seen on my teams has, they just go on their own and expect and wonder why they die immediately, whilst the rest of the team is further back. It's like, and then you get everybody hating either the tank or the support. There's never any blame on the damage dealers. even when I play like Moira and I'm doing really good heals, and I've only done like, you know, some like, you know, 7,000 or 8,000 heals, and only done like 2,500 damage, and then one of our damage dealers are only on like 2.8, and you're looking, you're like, really? I've been healing to hell, and I've also been doing damage, and your one job is to damage deal, and you've not damaged. You haven't caused any damage, you know. And it's like, and you see it, and that's the thing. It's like there's going to be a lot of people who aren't good at support, but because it cuts the queue times, you know, because there's no quicker queue times. Like I said, when there was 2 tanks, I think the average queue time was about 3 to 4 minutes, and about 2 to 3 minutes on your support. So the average queue time on your support is about 2 to 3 minutes. I think it's about 8 to 10 on damage, and I think about 10 to 12 from what I've seen on tank. So literally, you're going to get more people who don't want to just sit on their arse, you know, waiting for a tank or damage, where, you know, you can go into a comp game in 2 minutes as a support, and that's the issue. So now you're going to get that percentage of people who aren't good at support, who are probably actually a damage dealer, or previously a second tank, because that second tank doesn't exist anymore. And they're just like, well, I may as well play support, but then they don't actually do the heals or know how to play support in comp effectively. And that's, you know, and this is the problem, you know, that Activision Blizzard has created. So, you know, they've like solved some problems, but created 1,000 more, and this is the future. I think this is going to be something carrying on for years and years, if this game lasts that long anyway, before Overwatch 34 comes out in about 30 years, and is just a reskin of the first Overwatch, you know. But yeah, so it's like, any sort of goodwill on what they've done on game design or things like that over this period of time, it's lost any of that goodwill, because they've causing more problems than they've fixed, and there's been balancing issues from day one, and sometimes they've addressed it, and sometimes they just don't care. And it's like, so you've got a new game which has added all the balance issues you had in the first one, and then took a tank out, and then you've not just got balance issues, now you've got, you know, queue issues, you've got you know, if you like a ranking issue and things like that. So it's like, if you've got a team, I mean, this has never ever happened, but me and a friend, we both played support, and there was these 3 players. I don't know if they were 3 stack, because you can't tell on it, but literally 3 times in a row, and we didn't group up with them or anything like that. The game on our ranking levels and things like that paired us up with this 3 stack who was actually good, and that was thing, but 3 times in a row. And we're just like, how is that a fair queuing system? It's like, you know, it's, yeah, it just didn't make any sense. I have never ever in any multiplayer game I've played come across being randomly paired up with the same teammates 3 times in a row, and it was like, yeah, we just couldn't understand it. We're just like, how is that balance, you know? It's like, and it's even bad when you're doing solo, because it's like, yeah, but I don't know. I just think it causes I just think there's such more issues as well with network stability. There's even, I've still noticed there's issues with, things like physics, you know, bullets going through walls and stuff like that. You going behind a wall and still getting killed, and it's like, so they've still not adjusted the gameplay aspect and made that solid, which they could have done, in the years they've had developing this Overwatch 2, So yeah, it's just, I wouldn't say it's a hot mess, but I think it's a mess they have purposely created, because like it says, I think they knew that doing this way would cause certain problems even before you get into the free to play and the microtransaction side of it, but they've pressed forward anyway, because I do think that, I know he had a lot of problems than anything else, and he was flipping insane. But once you've had like people like Jeff Kaplan and a lot of the creative leads all left because of, well, from what the reports go through, basically Activision wanting, more control, and basically you can see it in this game. I've had friends who've played like World of Warcraft and stuff like that, and a lot of the ones who loved it in the early days, it's a completely different beast now. And even like the most vehement supporters to say, this isn't the same thing, this isn't worth it anymore. And they've just put Overwatch into the same thing. Like it says, this just feels off bait, and in about 3 to 6 months there's going to be an Overwatch separate mobile game or something which is going to enhance this game and things like that. So they're probably spending more time on the mobile port than they did on this version. So yeah, it's just, yeah, I didn't have high expectations of this, and like it says, and even my friends already a lot don't want to play this, and I can't blame them. We'd rather play some other multiplayer games, but that's the problem. We always seem to come back to this, because unless you're into your Call of Duties and things like that, which a lot of my teammates and I am not into, it's like there's very few options, so it's like, even games like Apex, they can be a lot of fun, but if you played that constantly it would get repetitive. So yeah, but anyway, so this was going to be a short talk, but this is under 40 odd minutes, so yeah, so I have very little hope that this game's going to make drastic changes to turn it into a fun, competitive, or just a fun team shooter. This is supposed to be team based, but it just feels more skewed to sort of like, for the damage to have some good looking kills on camera and sod all the support, we must have got to keep everyone alive, and it's like, and there's some games I think could do it a lot better, and like I said, this one just seems to be set up for esports, and that's it. So, but we shall see. Like I said, I will come back to this in 6 to 12 months, but I don't think much is going to change. Like I say, even when they release the single player, they'll probably charge like 20 quid for it, knowing them, or put it behind. they'll probably put it behind a battle pass or something. Yeah, you can play your story content. No, actually, we won't do a battle pass because I think that's only like 10 quid. So yeah, they'll probably charge like £25 for single player content, which will probably be about 3 or 4 hours long. And then people's like, why have they spent all this money on it? So anyway, this got on a tangent, but hope you guys enjoyed this, and like I said, I hope you guys understand. Like I said, I'm giving this game shit because this this series, this sort of like, you know, these online multiplayer games, it's like they have such a ability to connect people and sort of and be a hell of a lot of fun, but they seem to be, the longer and more established they are, the more they miss the mark. Like I said, you know, I used to enjoy games like Paladins. That's how I got to Overwatch, because they started just chucking new characters against the wall, and it just you could hear it, just like all you could hear is the machine gun fire. And literally this, I started playing Overwatch 2 and they started doing exactly the same. So so they'll probably do more characters where literally all you hear is and that's it. So that is the future of multiplayer Overwatch. So like I said, hope you guys enjoyed this. If you do, sort of suggestions, like I said, I've got a Gmail account, denzalisttalks@gmail.com. If you've got any subjects you think deserve to be spoken about, any lists and things like that, more than welcome. So anyway, take care, look after yourself and look after your mental health. Bye.